The first time I heard her screams, I was hundreds of kilometers away, deep in the scrapyards of the abandoned Corvax Mining Colony. The colony had been deserted for decades, left to drift in the shadow of the gas giant Sirion 4. Human scavengers avoided the place. Rumors of rogue AI patrols, alien traps, and unexplained disappearances had circulated for years. But desperation had brought me here. Supplies were running low, my ship's repair kits were dwindling, and I needed materials I could only find in the rusted remains of Corvax. That's when I heard it. A high-pitched, piercing scream that cut through the metallic wind like a blade. At first, I thought it was an echo from the decaying machinery, a distorted resonance of some long-broken AI alarm. But then it came again, humanly desperate, alien in tone, and undeniably real. I froze, the tools in my hand suddenly heavy. The sound was coming from deeper within the colony, from a place I had been warned to avoid. My instincts screamed at me to leave. All logic told me that the safest option was to ignore it and continue scavenging. But something in the scream, an almost pleading clarity, pierced through my hesitation. Followed it. The corridors of the old mining station were twisted and dark. Metal beams leaned at odd angles, and the lights flickered from the failing power cores. As I made my way deeper, I glimpsed shapes, shadows that darted in and out of sight, but it wasn't until I reached a massive reinforced cage that I saw her. She was small, maybe a human teenager by appearance, though her features betrayed her alien nature. Skin the color of molten silver, large opalescent eyes that reflected the failing lights, and delicate, almost fragile limbs that pressed against the bars of the cage. Her hair, if it could be called that, glimmered like a stream of liquid light. She froze when she saw me, fear radiating in waves. I lowered my hands in a gesture of peace. "Hey, it's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." Her voice, when it came, was a quiet tremor. You came." "I heard you," I replied, scanning the cage for any signs of traps or automated defenses. "I'll get you out." Her eyes widened, suspicion and hope warring in her gaze. "No human has ever come. No one dares." I swallowed hard. Well, maybe this one does. The cage was reinforced with an alloy I didn't recognize. My scanner told me it was nearly impenetrable by standard human tools. But I wasn't about to leave her trapped. Improvising, I pulled out my plasma cutter and started working on a section near the lock. Sparks flew, metal hissed, and I could hear her holding her breath behind me. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The screams had stopped now, replaced by the tense silence of anticipation. Finally, the lock gave way, melting under the precise heat of the cutter. I opened the cage and she hesitated, unsure if she could trust me. "It's okay," I said, holding out my hand. "Come on. Let's get out of here." We moved quickly, though cautiously, through the winding corridors. The colony had been left in disrepair, but it was clear that someone or something was still watching. I caught glimpses of movement, shadows darting along the edges of my vision. My gut told me it wasn't just my imagination. "Who did this to you?" I asked as we rounded a corner. They wanted me for experiments," she said, her voice shaking. They said I would be valuable, but no one ever comes for me." I tightened my grip on my plasma cutter. Not anymore. The escape wasn't easy. Automated defense drones, left from the mining era, had been reprogrammed by some unknown entity to patrol the corridors. We dodged energy pulses and leapt over malfunctioning machinery. At one point, a drone caught sight of us and I fired, cutting its sensors and forcing it offline. She winced, covering her head from the sparks and debris. "I'm okay," I said, guiding her by the hand. We're almost out. Finally, we reached the docking bay. My ship was small but functional, a stolen freighter patched with salvaged parts. I keyed in the security override, and the bay doors began to open. She paused at the threshold, looking back at the colony with a mixture of fear and sadness. "They'll come for me," she whispered. "I'll make sure they don't," I said firmly. Once aboard, she collapsed onto a seat, trembling. I gave her water and let her catch her breath. For the first time, she spoke more freely, telling me about her people, her world, and the experiments she had endured. Her name was Kalara. She was from a distant planet, captured by interstellar slavers who sold advanced alien species to the highest bidder. Her screams had been her only defense, her only way to hope someone might come. "And you did," she said quietly, looking at me with eyes that seemed to glow in gratitude. "I did," I admitted. "And I wouldn't hesitate to do it again." The journey back to my home station was tense. I knew that the slavers wouldn't let her go easily, and they might track us. I used every trick I knew, stealth drives, jamming signals, and deceptive flight patterns, to evade pursuit. She clung to the ship's wall, her eyes wide, silently measuring my every move. After several light years of travel, we finally reached a secure human outpost. I delivered her into safe hands, researchers who could provide protection without exploitation. As I watched her escorted into a safe chamber, I realized the gravity of what had just happened. I had risked everything for a stranger, a being from another world. And yet, in that moment, it felt like the only choice I could have made. Weeks later, I received a communication. Kalara's voice was hesitant but steady. I wanted to thank you," she said, "for answering my screams, for taking the risk." "You don't have to thank me," I replied. "No one deserves to be trapped like that." "But you didn't hesitate," she said. "Most humans wouldn't have come. You did. You saved me." I felt a strange warmth at her words, not just pride, but a recognition that even across species, courage and compassion could transcend fear and difference. "Sometimes," I said, "all it takes is one person to make a difference." "I'll remember that," she said softly. That night, I sat alone in my quarters, reflecting on the events. My life as a scavenger, my isolated existence among the stars, had seemed insignificant before. But Kalara's screams reminded me that even one individual could change the trajectory of another's life, could defy cruelty and apathy, and could stand against overwhelming odds. And somewhere in the dark expanse of space, I knew her voice might echo again, not in terror this time but in hope, because someone had answered her, and that someone was human.